Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. Today we're looking to do something a bit different. I went out on the internet and I purchased a brand new fishing reel. And those of you who know my history here were probably saying, well, why in the world would you do that? Well, I purchased one of these Sougayilang, I couldn't even begin to pronounce it. This is a spinning reel. It's sold on Amazon. It's also sold at Walmart.com from what I've been told. It's made in China. It's a cheap reel. And I read the people get these reels and they like them a lot when they first get them. And then they start posting videos about the reel fail, the reel fail, the reel fail. And we're going to take this reel apart and we're going to go through it. I intend to keep this and I intend to fish with it for at least the next year. If it'll hold up. And let's take a look at exactly what I've bought for $30. Okay, this is a spinning reel, 5,000 size. Comes with a spare spool. And there you have it. Let's see if it's functional. First thing we need to do is tighten down the handle. Now, some people have talked about this handle failing, and it appeared that they had over-tightened this knob over here and split it inside. So what we're going to do is we're going to tighten it snug to where the reel handle doesn't move. And, okay, it's smooth. Let's see if the anti-reverse works. There we go. It appears to have an instant anti-reverse. Things that people have complained about on these. Also, this is a bait feeder reel. So let's see if the bait feeder mode works. Okay, let's try the drag. Okay, the drag is nice and tight. Turn bait feeder mode. Okay, it loosens up dramatically. See if we can, and much slide. How tight can we get it? Pretty snug. Okay, now let's adjust our drag up here. Take it out of bait feeder mode. Okay. Let's hold the spool tight and rotate. Okay. Well, that doesn't sound good. Okay, so we're going to take this apart. So what my plan is it appears that all the failures of these reels seem to be from poor lubrication. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this reel apart and we're going to lubricate all the stuff that normally that people complain about, and see if this reel will hold up if you pre-lubricate it before taking it out. Now, a lot of you are going to say, well, you shouldn't have to pre-lube a reel just, right out of the box. Well, that's true, but if you can spend 5 minutes taking a reel apart and cleaning and servicing it, and notice the clip is not properly installed. See how it's sticking outside? It's not properly installed in there, which is why I had that grinding noise inside. Well, Chris, I'm back off the phone and getting back to work now. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take off the spool and take a look at these drag washers. Okay. The spacer washer come off. We'll slip that back on. Take a look in here. And I guess I better put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, the clicker. All right, that clicker has not one iota of oil on it. None. So we're going to go ahead and oil that while we're here. And I'm going to cover it and the spring with just a light coating of grease to help keep it from getting corroded. All right, let's take a look under here. Here's our drag washers. Let's pop the wire out of the drag washer. Okay, the spring clip comes out. Let's go ahead, take them out. Okay. It looks like a typical 6-washer drag system. Okay. And what is the first thing that I notice in this drag system? There is not one bit of lubrication. There is no oil in here at all. Well, if you don't have any oil in here, guess what's going to happen the first time any water gets into this thing at all? Any kind of water intrusion. These are going to rust. And that's one of the failure points that people complain about. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this back together and properly oil it. These are felt drag washers. Felt drag washers require oil. All right, that looks like it should be enough oil on that. We're going to put in the first keyed washer, the one with the rectangular shape in the middle. And I guess I could blow this up just a little bit. There we go. Okay, we're going to put in the next drag washer. Let that soak in a little bit. Okay, now I could have done this outside of this. There, I could have done it right here on the table to make and wiggle them around and smeared them around in oil to make sure that they were getting a full coating of oil. I got one little dry spot left there, it appears, after it soaks in. All right, that's good. Let's put in our eared washer, our last drag washer. Now, do you understand why it is that this would fail? If you don't have any lubrication in this thing, it's going to fail. Put in our last washer, and then let's put in our clip. There, there, and there. All right, now, because there's no oil on the top of this washer, I'm going to put a little bit of grease in there to help protect it in the event that we have some water intrusion. Okay? Let's see what we got under here. That looks good. Okay. We're going to put a drop of oil on our spacer washer. And then here's our clicker cog. We're going to take this clicker cog and add a light coating of grease on that just to protect it from rusting. I don't know how many of these things I've pulled out over the years. They were just covered in rust because they had nothing to protect them. All right, I'll set those over to the side. Let's see where we stand now. Okay, we're going to need to take this axle shaft out. Well, the way to take that out is going to be to unwind this handle. Let's go ahead and unscrew the handle. Remember, we took this off a while ago, or loosened it a while ago, or tightened it. Let's take it down, pull the screw out, slide the handle out. Okay, now this has no oil in there, so we're going to lubricate that, help keep it from failing. And I'm guessing that there's probably none in the end of this. Now, is this something the manufacturer should be doing? Oh, yeah. Granted, there is no doubt in my mind that the manufacturer should have properly lubricated this, but they didn't. But can you take a $30 reel and turn it into a much better, higher quality reel by simply lubricating it? Hey, why not? All right, there's that in. So far, everything has just been due to lubrication. Okay, let's see what we're going to need to do. This is a bait feeder, so we're going to have to take this screw out over here and remove this bait feeder lever. Okay. See if the other one comes off as easy. We really, yep, there we go. That's both of those off. Set them over to the side. Now, you shouldn't need too much lubrication in there, although we might put a drop here and here where those are riding there. later, but I don't think we need it right now. Let's see how this comes apart. Is that fitting up inside? Yes. Okay. All right, we're going to have to make further adjustments. We're going to have to take this further apart. So we're going to have to take this out. Let's see what we're going to need for that. Maybe this one. No, they're not deep enough. So we're going to need the deep well sockets. Well, I don't have my deep wells up here, but there we go. You guys have seen me do it before. I cheat on sockets for these. Okay, this is going to be a reverse threaded. There we go. Screw that one out. Take the spool off, or the rotor off. Okay, nothing inside the rotor needs to be serviced except when we get here. And we're going to take that apart and service it. All right, what do we got up under here? We're going to need this screw removed. And that should be all that we need to take this off, unless this goes up under here. And since we don't know if it does or doesn't, let's go ahead and unscrew and not the screw here. I'll set that over here. There we go. That'll slide off there. And one screw here. Okay. Oh, there we go. Two more screws up under here. I had a feeling. Okay. And all five are identical. Next thing we want to try to do is separate this. Okay, side case is open. All right, now, if you look, you will see that these bearings are not sealed. They're not even shielded. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop that bearing out. And because we want these to last a long time, and I'm not really worried about casting and winding this a lot. See, if I was using this reel to cast and lures, then I would not want this to be a greased bearing. I would want it to be a oiled bearing. But because this reel is only going to be used in my redfish fishing, where I cast out maybe 4 or 5, 6 times a day, then I don't mind that it might be a little sluggish to wind in. Okay, so we put the bearing back in there. Now that bearing is going to have a hard time ever rusting with that grease packed in there. So we got that one done. All right, let's see what it's going to take over here. Uh-oh. All right, this bait runner lever goes right here. Now I wonder what in the world holds that in place, except this side case. Okay, there's a little metal pin here. So when that goes on, I've got to make sure that that ends up right back there, ready to go. All right, otherwise it's just going to fall down. And that would not be fun. Okay, so for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it out and over and just let it hang over to the side. But at least now I know that it goes right here on this pin, and that'll hold it there. Okay. Now we need a micro driver. screw fell down into the grease. Oh, and that piece fell off the rest of the way. Okay, so that's a piece we really have to pay close attention to when we put it back on. Okay, there's that little screw right there. All right, this is out, so we should be able to lift this clip right here. With the clip up, we should be able to take it out. And now the axle shaft should come out. Okay, the axle shaft come out. That allowed the crosswind gear to slip out. So we'll set that over here. Okay, now this all seems to be fairly well lubricated. It doesn't look bad in here at all. Okay, except for the pinion gear. Now look, a little bit of grease is on this, but whatever grease this is, they ran it and it just seemed to slip right off of what they've got. So we're going to wipe their grease out. Now their grease seems to have packed in that side bearing quite nicely already. Their anti-reverse is right here. Let's go ahead and take that apart. Take the retainer off. There's our front bearing. And again, okay. Now I've encountered this with other ones. So what you got to do is you got to get in here. And I'm going to need stronger glasses than the ones I'm wearing. Okay, what I've got to do is get in here and disconnect this spring off of this white post carefully, like so. There we go. That way, when this comes out, it should all come out together, everything but the spring. Like so. All right. And this gives us our bearings and our anti-reverse. Okay, let's slip this up and off. Let's see, we've got I can't make any mistakes here because I don't have a schematic for this. Here's the washer. This bearing retainer with the bearing in it. Okay, all of this is the anti-reverse assembly. We're going to leave that together. It's what looks like they've greased it well. So we're going to leave all of that in there and try to slide the whole thing down. I'm just after the bearing. Okay, see the bearing is packed in grease. So that bearing should not fail. The anti-reverse should not fail, except that it's got a ton of grease inside it. But it's working, so we'll leave that alone. Let's check this bearing. Okay, we're going to pack that with grease. And basically what we're trying to do here is create a water seal for the bearings to keep water intrusion out of them. And if a little regular water gets in here, it really shouldn't cause much grief. Okay, we're going to slip that bearing back into the bearing retainer, like so. We're going to slide that back down onto the pinion gear. And now, let's go ahead and put our grease on here. And I'm hoping that it's going to play well with their grease. Theirs looks like it's Vaseline is what it looks like. All right, with all of that in place, we still got this one washer right here to slide on. Like so. Okay. Now, we need to put this back in there. And the best way to do that is get this spring hanging down like this. Okay, we've got it hanging down the opposite direction. Turn this over and get it to slide back in. Let's see, it's got, can you see? It's got these little pathways in there that these points have to go into. There. Somehow, I just wasn't getting it lined up correctly. Now, there we go. Had to get that in there. Yeah, you got to make sure to make this boss right here go into that. All right. Now, all of that is well and good, but we still got to get this spring hooked up. So, now, Chris asked me a while ago on the phone why it is that I usually grease things after I put them in. Well, if you just saw my fingers a minute ago with all that grease all over them, that's exactly why I usually grease them after the fact. But let's see if we can get this stretched out. Get it back on this post. There we go. Are you seeing what I'm doing? Getting it on and hold it in place. There we go. And now the spring is on there, and we'll pull that. Now that should, in that position, no anti-reverse. In this position, instant anti-reverse. See there? Flip it back the other way, and it will rotate both directions. This position, only one way. Okay. We did not remove this gear. We know it's in good shape in there. But what I do want is for it to have grease on it. So let's rotate it around a little bit. That's when I like to grease them in place, just like that. Okay. And this grease, I don't know what kind of grease it is, but it's very thin. And it tends to kind of flow almost. And to me, that doesn't sound very good for bearings. My pin grease, when I put it where I want it, it typically tends to stay exactly where I put it. All right, now there's a shim washer in here. Don't lose it. See it? Okay. I'm going to pull it off of there for just a minute because I'm going to wipe this gear off. All right, now we got the gear. Let's go ahead, put some grease on the back side right here. And the only purpose of that is to hold this shim washer, keep it from falling off. And we're going to turn it to this side. And we're going to grease up the teeth. Okay, now I don't feel a real pressing need to take the bait feeder drag in the back apart. First off, it shouldn't be dirty because it's brand new. And second off, even when they're new, it's usually a Teflon washer and it shouldn't need anything. And this one spins real easy, so I'm planning on it being okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and set the main gear back in place, or try to. There we go. And for those of you waiting with bated breath, yes, I really am going to go back and put this back on. I haven't forgotten. I had for a moment, but not completely forgotten. If I seem to be in a little bit of a hurry today, I am. I need to get this reel done and get line and everything on it. I'm planning to take it on my fishing trip tomorrow. I am going back to Calaveras tomorrow. Weather's supposed to be good. My buddy Robert Dixon is back from vacation. And so we should be ready to go out and take on the big fish. All right. It's got all that in place. We're ready to slide the axle shaft back in. And this axle shaft was completely dry. No lubrication on it whatsoever. And we're going to slide it back in. Just about to there. And we're going to pause for a minute because we need to clean up. Look, usually when you take off a crosswind block, it's just plumb full inside of grease. That's all that's there. Okay. With the lubrication that we're putting in this, I fully anticipate that this reel is going to last for a long time. The parts seem to be good quality parts. Its sole lack was in lubrication, in my opinion, so far anyway. All right, we're going to slide that in like so. Slide the axle shaft in. Now, it should be able to rotate in there. And you got to keep rotating it until it slides into the back for the bait feeder. So we got that in place. We take our clip back. And that clip is going to fit into these two grooves right here. All right, clip will fit in just like that and lock it into place with the screw. So slide this in, get it lined up there, get our two slots in place, and slip the clip back in. And if you got it in place, it's going to lock in. And this one is not in place properly because the axle's too far back. There we go. There. And when it's in place properly, the hole should line up right here, and you should be able to take and put your screw back in. And do a little searching. Okay. We're going to put that in. Right there. I really don't like the way that fit. Okay, I outsmarted myself. I had the right part in, but I didn't think it was the right part, so I stopped. Because I felt like it was lower quality than what it should have been. But we'll go ahead and put it back together real quick. All right, I didn't like the way that screw fit, so I just convinced myself that it wasn't the right screw. But it turns out it is the right screw, and I'm just not real crazy about it. So far, this is the first thing in the whole reel that I think really, besides the lubrication, it really should have been done a little different. This should have been a much bigger, longer screw to go right here. And it should have been a machined screw rather than a sheet metal screw. All right. Right here. Through that. Oh, I thought I had it. There we go. It's in there. Somehow along the way, this lever got flipped. There we go. Okay. Okay, when this kicks back, shouldn't have that preload on it, sideways load on it, I don't think. But we'll see how it works. Okay, that's our release for our bait runner mode. And it should stay in place once this side case is back on. See this little track right here built into it? I think that's what that pin's designed to ride in. Okay, and then this part over here is going to hold that down, keep it from sliding out and messing up. But now notice that there's no grease. Again, no grease for our bait runner mode either. All right, let's set this back down over here. Like so. It snaps into place. That feels pretty good so far. Let's try putting on one of our bait runner switches and see what happens. Let's put a screw in, just one. That should be enough. Let's see now if this seems to operate. If I got that piece in there right. Okay. Anti-reverse works. Bait runner mode works. Okay, let's put it together. Put this cap on. This pin appears that it probably needs to go in first. Like so. Okay, once that's in, now you're ready to put this screw back in. Now we're ready to put this back on. And at the end of 1 year, I will take this completely apart and do a service video on it. We'll inspect it to see if it makes it a year. Who knows? It may not. And we'll inspect it and check it all out and see whether or not it holds up now that it's been adequately lubricated. We're going to slide this on. Okay. Remember, this is reverse threaded. There we go. Okay. We're going to put our freshly greased clicker cog back on. Slide our spacer on. And now we've got to get these parts back on. And I need to make sure that they go on the proper side. I believe that this one was on this side. There we go. There's that one on that side. This one's on this side. It slides over top of that center. Then I put the screw back in. Now, it's possible that this piece is plastic instead of graphite like the frame, and it may be one of the failure points. So far, no one has complained about that having broke. We're going to slip our spool on. We're going to put just a dab of grease here so that the bottom of the spool can rotate when it's, there we go. All right, and remember that we put some grease right here. Handle back on. Let's go ahead. This is, you can tell this is in need of grease as well. We put a little on there. There we go. It picked up a little grease from where I greased the bearing. Slide that back in. This side back on. Okay, and it's got that plastic washer right there, which should keep that from splitting on the end there. That's going to meet into these teeth right here, which the teeth are supposed to lock this down, so you shouldn't have to overly tighten it. But if you do, you'll crack that piece, I'm sure. Tighten this down till it's just snug. It doesn't need to be super tight. All right. There it is with no anti-reverse. Let's flip the anti-reverse switch. There we go. Let's put it in bait feeder mode. Let's loosen the bait feeder mode. Good. There, bait feeder mode comes out. We're in full. All right. One last thing I want to do. This appears to be stiff right here. So what we're going to do is put a shot of oil right along here on both sides. On here under the screw head, and then we're going to oil this roller bearing. Then we're going to exercise this a little bit, and it no longer feels like it's dragging. So the next time you see this reel, it's going to be on one of my poles on the lake. And for you, it should be in just a minute, because I'm going to add that onto the end of this video. And I'm hoping that I'll be featuring it catching a nice fish. But like I said, I don't think this reel is going to fail now that we have lubricated the parts adequately. I think it's going to run just fine. So we'll see. Catch you in a minute. Good morning, YouTube. It's me and Robert Dixon back on the lake. No, good morning, Robert.
Good morning.
And we're going to see how things go. We're going to head back down to where I fished last week, and hopefully it's going to be okay down there. We'll see how it goes. All right. We're back on the lake. Told you I'd show you this reel. Here it is. It's out here. We're going to go fishing with it. Let's see first off how it casts. Well, I can tell you this, the paint doesn't stay on it very well. So let's see how it does. Well, considering I put this big heavy 20-pound test line on there, that's not too bad. All right, hopefully we'll catch a fish on this today. No. I didn't set the hook, he's gone.
Oh. Well.
I didn't set the hook.
Well, what we got there?
I don't know, he's a good fish.
Oh, yeah.
He was stripping line.
I got to turn the camera around. How do you do that?
Turn it off of
All right, we're getting ready to release this guy.
Let me put this around my wrist so I don't lose it in case he thrashes. All right. Here we go, buddy. Come on. Come on. There you go. All right. Letting you go.
And off
There
he
you go.
goes. You happy fish?
That's a... I knew that was a big fish when he hit. Oh.
What were you fishing with that? What were you using for bait on that one?
We're gonna have to come up with some kind of system because I don't remember. And I was hoping something would remain of it, and it didn't. So I don't know. I think that was the chicken.
Chicken.
It was a chicken.
I think you're right. I was thinking it was chicken.
It was chicken. All right, you fellow YouTubers. That one big catfish has been the fish of the day. Everything else we've gotten stripped off. We've gotten a few hits here and there. Everything that's hit we've missed. So looks like we're about to call it a day and head on in. So so far, even though I hadn't tried to catch a fish yet, this Chinese reel over here has performed well. It cast, wound in, and did everything it was supposed to do all day. The bait feeder on its functions and does what it's supposed to do. Unfortunately, it never got an opportunity to catch fish. I am going to take that 20-pound test line off of it and put some 10-pound back on it. When I cast it, you can hear that 20-pound going through the lines. And I don't like that. It's just a heavy line. I don't like it. I'm going back to the 10-pound. Or if I've got some 12, I might put some 12 if I can find it. But that's it for tonight, guys. Take care.